From project reviews to incredible interviews, along with the general things in Web3, Craigos Crypto Corner covers the space in a fun and engaging way. We dive in so our listeners can conceptualize, plan, strategize, and implement their very next move. We are quickly becoming a platform that enriches and supports the overall foundation of Web3. In order to grow, you need your voice to be heard. If you have infinite curiosity, then Craigos Crypto Corner is just for you. Come join us.
You're tuning into Craigo Podcast, the best in Web3, blockchain, NFT, and cryptocurrency technology. Great interviews, incredible reviews, and just the general things Web3. Let's get to it. I am thrilled to welcome two outstanding guests, each bringing a wealth of knowledge and expertise in their respective fields. Matthew Kaner, a well-known name in the wine industry with 18 years of experience. Matthew started his journey at Wine Cask Wine Store in Santa Barbara before co-founding two renowned wine bars in Los Angeles, Bar Covell, famous for its bold no-menu concept, and Augustine Wine Bar, celebrated for its impressive vintage selection and named Best Wine Bar in America by Food and Wine. Matthew has earned titles such as Food and Wine's Sommelier of the Year and Wine Enthusiast 40 Under 40 Tastemaker. As CEO of Will Travel for Wine Consulting and wine correspondent for Men's Journal, his influence continues to grow through his contributions in wine education, media, and brand ambassadorship. Also joining us is none other than Crypto Bullrun, a trailblazing entrepreneur who has founded more than a dozen internet companies spanning from software, marketing, and analytics. An early adopter in Bitcoin since 2011, Ron has deeply engaged in the crypto space since 2017. Today, he co-leads a Web3 venture fund and investment fund launched in 2020 with an impressive track record of success in the digital and crypto sectors. His insights into Web3 and blockchain are highly regarded. What unites all three of us is the love of blockchain and our love for our Landwolf OX7 community on Ethereum. GM, Ron, and Matthew, how are you both? It's great to see you guys.
Good, glad to be here, man.
Thanks for having us, man.
It's a cool episode. It's actually for me and everybody on Twitter Spaces. I'm so happy that you're here. We're going live on YouTube, so if you want to see our handsome faces, and Ron, you're a handsome guy, and I love those glasses, Matthew. For me, it was last August. It was our last episode, and then from there, I started to try to perfect the short clips that everybody sees for Landwolf. We did a bunch of videos for Andromeda, and also did a bunch of videos for Futureverse. So here we are, you guys. It's so special to have you both in the room today. So I want to throw this first question. How does Landwolf's grassroots community-driven model, operating without the backing of venture capital, foster a deeper sense of authenticity and trust among its users compared to projects supported by institutional funding? And let me just say, look a ball. Ron, let me come to you. What makes Landwolf for you so authentic and genuine?
Yeah, well, I think, when I first heard about Landwolf, Keck and Shabbat.eth gave me a call and were kind of telling me about how it had come to be and how they'd kind of gotten in early and taken over the project. I remember first thing I did was I looked up on Dex Screener, and 1,240 people, total wallets. And that's less than that people, because some people have, we all have multiple wallets. As Trump said, Barron, his son, has 4. That's 4 Trump and his dad knows about. Those are the 4 he knows about. But anyway, 1,240 now. It's like well over what? 11,000.
11,600 as of a couple days ago.
It's just amazing what they've been able to accomplish. And it's really just a whole bunch of people with passion all pulling the wagon, right? It's not, look, a Solana and some of these big VC back, they've got, hundreds of millions of dollars, teams, PR firms, all this stuff, all these connections. This is really a grassroots story, and it's amazing. And it's just, and you never know, right? What in crypto, what's gonna be that secret sauce that makes it something. Now, obviously, a great story, great meme, the boys club, that whole narrative is powerful, but to get where they did is just amazing. you can't beat community. You can't beat a whole bunch of people united in a common cause. It's just something we really didn't have in Web 2 so much. I love it. The community is so important. None greater and more impressive than what Landwolf on ETH has been able to do.
I love that. Matthew, what are your thoughts that make this project so authentic?
So a big thing that happens when you invest or jump into a project that's that VC funded cabal-esque thing is you're just a sideliner. You're watching what happens without any influence. You don't get to help give thoughts. You don't get to actually put things to play. A lot of times you're just sitting there waiting for whatever information comes down the pike from the powers that be, where in the case of Landwolf OX67, if you were in the early group chat, any suggestion you gave was at least vetted by the people on the quote unquote team. And I remember early on, Keck didn't want to be part of the team. He didn't want it to be, he was the leader. And I say that lovingly, like he wanted it to be literally community. And it became quick. We all realized quickly that was not going to work. We needed a leader. We needed someone to put something together and have a little bit more of a what became a grassroots movement, but people that can really be looked to as either an authority is a good way of saying it. And not that Keck is like a authoritarian. He doesn't make all the decisions. It's literally group decisions. But in the other case of where you're just in a project with a bunch of people who have all the money secured at the top, you don't get to decide anything. You don't get to help them. Maybe they do like once in a while a meme contest, or like you get to give them some art to potentially put forward. But in this case, if you have a good idea, the team puts it through a vetting process. And I've watched a lot of community ideas actually get put forward. It's pretty rad.
You know, I've been grateful to have been invited into that core chat, and I see firsthand from what you're saying. I can validate that is absolute truth. And interesting enough, Keck and Shabbat gave me a call probably almost 5 months ago now, and they're like, Craig, this is awesome. Listen, you do a great job. We like it. You work for your bags. We'll splash you if we like it, and we won't if we don't. It's that simple. And I had to appreciate it. And I got invited into the core chat, and those conversations are super transparent. The way he conducts himself in public is the same way he conducts himself privately. And so big shout out to those two gentlemen who I know are listening in tonight. All right. From your perspective with tools like landwolf.com, Landwolf, what is swap.landwolf.com at the forefront, how does Landwolf, in your opinion, plan to boost user engagement and enhance utility within the ecosystem to differentiate itself from competitive Web3 memes? And let me go with you, Ron, if I can.
Yeah, early on, obviously myself being early on to the internet and seeing some of those, Tasa.com was just basically a tool, right? We had to get it for our website. And, early on, we weren't really thinking of speculating. Some smarter people did and made a lot of money. And it continues today. So early on, with these meme coins, so many of them launch and whatnot, that people were, problem is often confusing them with other projects, right? So that they wanted to get landwolf.com, and problem was Korean owner, hard to communicate, wanted I don't even know if it was listed, but I think it was listed for close to 70,000, or maybe that's after reached out. But Shabbat and I and some of the team reached out to a gentleman that I know that's a big time, sold domains for millions of dollars, been in the domain space his whole life, helped negotiate that. And it took a while, right? But they were finally able to get landwolf.com for, I think, 42,000 roughly. And that's a huge, and honestly, at the time, I thought it was a little pricey. But then when I saw some other inferior, I believe inferior products with inferior tokenomics, maybe a little, not as much community owned, doing maybe better on the charts and the confusion being there, I thought it was a great thing. Also with the, equivalent to the kind of the Web 2 world in the Web 3 is our .eths, right? And our firm, we're big investors. We've literally got millions of dollars invested in that. The Web 3 naming systems, the prominent one being Ethereum name service, right? Funded by Vitalik himself and the Ethereum Foundation. So they also were able to, they're doing some real cutting edge stuff with of course, they've got Landwolf.eth. I believe they've got some swap mechanisms. You can send ETH, it'll swap it back. And of course, a great one for people, especially someone that doesn't understand it, they have wolfbank.eth. And Google just recently started indexing it. Someone on the call that's not familiar with Etherscan or how to read that or anything can literally go to Google, type in wolfbank.eth, and it will take them, and you can see how much money's in there. That's a community wallet. That's the money that Keck originally took. I think at least half of his bag, half of his stack, thought, no, rather than me making all the money myself or whatever, I want to have a smaller piece of a much bigger pie. And we've all seen that in action in the results, but able to take that like 10%, put it in there. At the time, maybe it was tens of thousands. It's literally turned into millions of dollars. And that gives me a ton of confidence. I can go to sleep at night with 6, 7 figures in Landwolf and know I'm going to wake up because I know they have millions of dollars. And by using that, like they're one of the first companies that just, not in the Web3 world, that's really kind of using all that technology. And it's great. And it's great to just be able to go to landwolf.eth and wolfbank.eth and be able to see how much is in that wallet. It's all transparent. There's a transparency on the blockchain that we've never known before. So, they're really cutting the edge with that.
And I love that because for last night when on that retracement, I bought a nice fat bag. I just literally went in and I sent it right to landwolf.eth and I got back my Wolf token. It was right in my wallet. It was safe and sound. I didn't have to hop on a DEX. And then I also love landwolf.com. It's very easy to explain to people who aren't integrated on the blockchain and don't have a DeFi wallet. Matt, what are your thoughts?
So when you think about how many other wolves there are, there's wolves on other blockchains. There's more wolves on Ethereum as well. This is something that differentiates when there is a clear path of landwolf.com, a clear path of landwolf.eth, obvious mechanics that have been built on those to keep it streamlined so you're in one place. You don't have to leave and go to whether it be a decentralized exchange or a centralized exchange. You can literally make your purchase within those mechanics. One of the smartest things the team did early on, all the people involved realized to kind of create the situation where they're mindful of what's going to happen in a bull run and get as many centralized exchanges under their belt and get all these listings and also make it so that way investors won't have the confusion down the road. Those kinds of things have been worked out almost from day one. It did take a little bit of time, but the mindfulness of that was an initial flag that was really put in the ground. So now we're seeing, I think, 14 or 15 centralized exchanges, an ability to swap tokens off the website, sending Ethereum to landwolf.eth and having it, as far as I understand, at the best price possible in the moment, sent right back to you. I don't want to say it's gasless, but I think it works almost gasless. And on Ethereum, that matters. There's some pretty slick competitional and competitive edges that this Landwolf OX67 has because of that.
Yeah, you definitely obfuscate some of those fees. And one of the things that's really making me bullish, gentlemen, Matthew, I'm going to come back to you in just a second, is before we came on, we were talking about the doc strike and how that literally came to an end as I was going through some of the content for today's conversation. Matt, why don't you fill us in on that a little bit?
Yeah, so when you think about what comes into our country, a lot of things are trucked up from other places, but most of the points of entry are docks. And so ports, like there's a huge one here where I live in Los Angeles, right outside in San Pedro, Long Beach area. And when the workers basically are saying, we don't want automation, we don't want AI, we don't want robots taking our job. And if they were to just shut it down for weeks, months at a time, the billions of dollars implicated there, the amount of, we're talking cars won't be able to come in and be sold. People won't get medicine. The implications are rampant. It's unbelievable to even think about. There's effects in my industry, in the wine world, but they agreed for a 6-year contract, 62% increase of pay. I think they were making $39 an hour. I think in the short term, they're going to make $68 an hour was what I saw today.
This is huge. And by the way, to me, that makes me more bullish for our crypto bags, especially that of my biggest conviction play, which is Landwolf. It's super clear if after months you're questioning what am I most excited by, it is Landwolf. Ron, what are your thoughts around this? Oh, did Ron freeze up on us? It's okay, Ron. We're gonna get you back in a second. By the way, he is in Las Vegas. You can't beat that, Matt, and that's not a problem. Matt, let me talk about your thing, right? So deep dive into wines in general. How do you envision these technologies like blockchain enhancing and transforming how we track the value of these iconic wines on the blockchain? What are your thoughts around the technology in your industry?
Yeah, it's great. When I first got into crypto, I tried really hard to figure out a way to do a crypto wine project. And the things I wanted to accomplish, a couple of them were a little lower lift, a couple of them were much bigger. And so I have like more of a kind of legacy project I'll do at some point that's wine related on the blockchain. But in essence, what it does, if a winemaker, a vineyard, someone makes this great wine, they can tokenize that bottle, have a secure way to know the origin of the wine, how it got from where it got, who owned it, and then potentially with smart contracts, continue to make money on the resale of said bottle. Where now, if someone makes a bottle of wine, it goes to their importer distributor, gets sold to a store, gets sold to a collector holds on to it, resells it later, makes all the money. It's great for the prowess of that wine, but the people who originally produced it get no benefit necessarily, just maybe some marketing and some eyes. But this is something that's going to potentially pass more value down to the winemakers. And also having a guarantee of origin and where wines have come from. It's one of the biggest things, and especially the fine wine world. We're seeing a lot of fine wines be put on the blockchain to guarantee who they are, what they are, where they came from.
Matthew, reading up on you and prepping for this podcast, do me a favor. When they come to you, because you are a big name in the space, respectfully speaking, and they talk to you about blockchain and the wine and making things unique, please just, Craigo, listen, I got to fill you in. I want the alpha. I want the inside track. Now, I think we've got Ron back. We do. Ron, let me come back to you on that dock strike. And now that it's over, that makes me incredibly bullish, but I look to people like you for that final opinion. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, listen, we all like to believe, and we talk about Bitcoin being uncorrelated, inflation hedge and stuff like that. Ultimately, that's true. But right now, the reality is we're looked at, especially even Bitcoin and Ethereum, as a risk on asset. So we're very much tied at the, connected at the hip with that. So on our show I do in the mornings, we have experts come on just to talk about the TradFi world and how it connects. And I want to echo, I started out my career in the supply chain. I was 8 years over in Taiwan, went to college over there, and I spent that. So man, I immediately, and we all kind of see that, right? I immediately saw the connections of how that, all the fakes, all the just everything, authentication and stuff being knocked off, all of that. And it's like, wow, blockchain fixes all of this. So ultimately, not going to happen overnight, but ultimately, and I think everyone comes with their own kind of unique experiences that you've had in business or life, and you can see different areas of the blockchain, supply chain, match made in heaven. Absolutely. Couldn't be a better match.
Now, by the way, don't get ahead of me, Ron. We know about the morning show every weekday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Some of the best content information in the space. That's where, quite frankly, everybody, truth and honesty, that's where I do a lot of my learning. Now, Ron, you've been a vocal about crypto integration into the daily finance through platforms like CoinZoom, and I do want to talk to you about that because you turned me onto it this past week. How do you see this driving crypto adoption in regions where traditional banking is just not accessible?
Well, yeah, look, there's 4 or 5 billion people that are unbanked in the world, right? Africa, India. I mean, even sadly here in America on some of the reservations down and stuff. I was doing some trainings in Arizona, and a gentleman came up to me. He's like, you know what? Half of the people on our reservation, the Navajo reservation, don't have access to banking, maybe don't even have identity, you know what I mean? And it's crazy. And that blew me away, right? But obviously I've been to Africa, I think 16 times now. I spent a lot of time over there, a lot of friends. Dad used to go over there. He was a surgeon. To get away, the only way he could get away from the phone was to be where no one could find him. And so a lot of friends and stuff over there. Literally people have no access to banking, investing, anything like that. So it's so important for these people that can change their future. These people that could literally buy a piece of a tokenized asset of, may say, a hotel in Dubai, or maybe even a very small fraction of a Tesla stock or something like that. Just today, there was some something that Visa is working and to work with different banks on tokenization. We call it RWA, or real world asset. These tokenization, it just does so much. But yeah, figure 4 billion people being brought into the world that we all take for granted right now, and ours getting fixed too, because unfortunately we've kind of been getting ripped off for hundreds of years through some of these banking and some of these inefficiencies and that we didn't even know existed. So it's great. 4 or 5 billion people unbanked, just kind of like with cell phones. They didn't have any landlines, so they went right to cell phones. Some people in Africa's cell phone towers are better than ours because they didn't have that middle piece. So I see the same thing happening, and it's huge and life-changing for these people.
No, by the way, this show right now is jam-packed with a lot of alpha insight. And I always say plot, plan, strategize, and implement moves. First, so let me thank everybody who is on Twitter Spaces. I think there's a lot of people over on YouTube right now. Great. It's just great to see. Oh, I got that ding button. Oh, wow. I'm feeling special. By the way, this is a little alpha right here. I would just highly recommend. I don't want you to say anything, Flex, but guys, if you look behind, you'll see some interesting shirts. Shout out to Max from Because Bitcoin and the team over there. Love that swag. As you can also see, we've got, what do we got here? We got my Craigo hat. But again, this right here, I want you guys to find this symbol, figure out what it is. And that's some alpha right there, along with this little character. So I'm gonna leave it there. I'll let you guys chime in on the comments on that one. All right, so Matt, let me ask the big question, right? And by the way, tomorrow, Ron, we're giving away, between you and I, $150 giveaway on your Spaces. We'll talk about that in a second. But I got the big question, because everybody goes, why am I going to put money towards Wolf? And by the way, it's not financial advice. You roll with your money as you see fit. I've been grabbing bags as we've seen these little retracements. But why do you, Matt, believe that we're going to billions when it comes to Landwolf?
So I've been around the crypto space for going on 4 years now, and I got to ride what happened with Doge. I watched what happened with SHIB. There was a lot of apprehension toward what we consider meme coin, shitcoin world back in those days. And then we saw all the NFT traders immediately go, okay, I guess we have to move over to these coins. When Pepe hit the blockchain in the incarnation we know now, the OX69 contract, everything changed. And I was a fan before that of Matt Fury, the artist of Boys Club comic who created Pepe the Frog. And I honestly like Pepe, but I didn't love Pepe. I loved Landwolf. Landwolf is the stinking, drinking, never thinking MFer who is doing lines of coke and drinking beers in full and, like, you know, making fun of his friend who pees with his pants pulled all the way down. Yep. It's just, he's the funny one. He's the degen. He's the weed smoker. He's the one that'll, like, smoke the bong and then dump the water on your head. Like, I see myself in him, and I'm an unshaven guy. Unshaven.eth. Let's go, Landwolf.
I love it. Ow! Ow! How could we not give a howl? All right. So, Ron, you've been around a lot of projects, a lot of successful things. You've seen things hit the dirt, and I'll give my answer at the end as to why it just made sense for me. But why are we going to a Billy, baby?
Well, it's like Matt said. I was there. I've been in since 2011. Doge was a fun meme. We would buy Doge. There was an exchange down in New Zealand that we didn't used to have decentralized exchanges like Uniswap and stuff. Like the ones that we did have were just literally unusable. And we would trade these quote unquote shit coins that we talk about with all these zeros. You had to do it with a Doge pair because everything in crypto is a pair. You can't have an ETH and something with 10 zeros in front of it. So we actually used to use Dogecoin for that. It was the only real use case. But it just became so big, and then Elon took onto it. It went to what, 80-something billion dollars, close to, maybe a little above. And then it was just, just crazy. Everywhere I was going, gas station, get a drink, cup of coffee, whatever, people are asking you about it, right? And then it's immediately like SHIB. SHIB is Doge. SHIB is the Shiba Inu. That's the breed of the Doge meme. So, who knows? And that got huge, right? I think that it in the tens of billions, 20, 30 billion maybe, right? And there was all these baby Doge and all these others. And when people miss out, like when they miss out on Bitcoin, or they make money in Bitcoin, then there's some, sector rotation, right? So I feel like Pepe is huge a meme as it is, worldwide meme. My friends in China know about it. Everyone knows about even if they don't know, they recognize Pepe, right? Even if they don't know who Matt Fury and the Story Boys Club, all that stuff. And then so crypto is so much driven by narratives, right? Memes, I think, are important, even though it doesn't do anything. In a way, that's kind of the power of them. You don't have to understand all the tokenomics, all the stuff we as a professional fund have to look at to try and make these decisions, right? You don't need to know that. What does it do? Nothing. It's just a meme. Cool. Let's buy it, right? And I'm telling you, if I'm right and a lot of people are right, and Pepe is the Doge, that's nothing. Doesn't mean Doge can't keep going, SHIB can't keep going, but I believe that Pepe is the Doge, and it's like I've not seen anything like it. I never saw that much fervor and anything go that fast, right? And it's had staying power, right? So I believe that what's going to happen if it hits 69 billion or multiple billions, let's say 69 billion, let's say half of that, let's say a third of that, people who made money on it or people who missed it, they're going to be like, okay, what's the other play? Oh, geez, we got Brett over here on base, $1 billion today, 2 billion, right? Oh, okay, let's buy some of that. Once again, you make your money or you missed it. Okay, now we got Andy and now we got Landwolf, all four of them. I believe that narrative is powerful, and narrative is so important in how people view crypto and how people migrate from place to place, right? Like I've heard people say it's like a swarm of bees kind of go from place to place, right? And that's it. And that's it's just a strong narrative. And clearly OX69 Pepe on ETH, that's the clear winner and will continue to be so, right? Brett on base, clear winner. It's $1 billion probably right now if we check it, right? Then we have Andy, and then we have Landwolf. Andy, I think, hit like 350 billion, or million rather. And then Landwolf, we've hit 120. We've retraced.
Yeah.
It's smart, but that's the cycle, and that's the rotation, and that's how the psyche works. And I've watched it hundreds, not thousands of times.
Matt from Because Bitcoin will bust out those charts and he just breaks them down, and you follow those vanity numbers 069, 068, 067, 066, I believe there is, right? From my end, it was really simple. On that first phone call with Shabbat and Keck, I was like, okay, guys, next month. And then as I'm driving, there was maybe just a minute in, and I'm like, that gut feeling. I did my gut for Wolf, and I called our friend Stephen Miller. And I said, Steven, I know Shabbat, but what do you think? He goes, listen, I like Shabbat. I like how he moves. I literally texted them an hour later after speaking with Matthew. And I'm like, you know what? We're gonna do a Landwolf video. We don't know where it's gonna land or what it's gonna do. Let me come back into the studio, start doing a bunch of short clips, really level up the quality, the backdrop, and really bring ourselves to the next level, right? Because if I'm gonna do something and say, okay, if I'm doing it for free, and I stand the best chance of getting splashed, because like I said, Keck and Shabbat, and hey, you're nice, we like you, we see your podcast. If we like you, we'll splash you. If we don't, well, we won't. Matthew, let me ask you, this kind of community-driven success, does it remind you of any experiences in your own industry, right? That feeling like with Landwolf, it's just like when someone goes, well, what is it? I say it's the people. I say it's the community that shows up every single day, dropping quality memes, music. The creativity is unparalleled. The engagement on other people's content. I'm like, fine, don't retweet. By the way, we love when you retweet. We love when you're engaged. I don't want to say no, but in your industry, are there certain parallels that you're seeing that are helping you in the wine industry?
Well, in the wine world, it's always about either you become a client or a local at a wine bar, or you get to know a certain tasting room if you live in wine country. You want to be there and get to know the people, meet the winemaker, talk to the owner, have those kind of connections, and you want to be as close to those people as possible. And community building is ultimately number one in the wine industry, especially where people are buying $50,000 to $5,000 bottles of wine, and you want repeat customers. So you end up becoming friends. It becomes this kind of ongoing relationship. And what I've seen, and what's great about Landwolf, while there's a lot of people who are undoxed and we don't know who they actually are in real life, you just know their screen name, their Twitter profile. They still are allowing, you get to kind of see behind the veil a lot of times. Yeah. And that's not always the case. People a lot of times do keep it very face value, and I guess in this case, unface value, right, if they're undoxed. Landwolf is a place where the community has allowed this kind of next level connection point. And I know when we hit 1 billion, we're all going to New York to party with Shabbat. Shabbat.eth is going to throw down. We better play Hava Nagila 1,000 times. We're raising him up on the chair. We're going big.
Happy New Year. Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And Lashana Tova. But, let me just bring this back, right? It's at the end of the day, I'm okay where people, maybe we'll just talk really quickly on the docs on docs thing. When I came into this space as a content creator, I'm like, okay, here I am. I'm Craig. And I was okay with that. You had to be okay with that, but also respecting the people's privacy in this space. And also what you do in public or what you do in private will come public. And so if I was going to create and build a reputation in this space, I had to make sure that it really stayed steady and that people saw that I stayed the course, that I never got off balance. Ron, please shill us on the morning show. What is your favorite thing that happens every single morning in that 1 hour between 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 11 a.m.? Sometimes it'll go past a little bit, but what's your favorite part of your own show that you're the host for? Oh, he froze on me again.
Must be that hotel Wi-Fi.
It's the hotel Wi-Fi. By the way, everyone, he's in Las Vegas. So if you're in Las Vegas, you need to party with Crypto Bull Ron. All right, Matt. We'll come back to him in a second. I think we've covered a lot of really good things today. And I think when I look at, Landwolf and where we're headed, I love this retracement because it allows people of entry. The interesting thing is where we all started building our bags around the DCA strategy, that if you took profits, and I was talking to Matt about this last night, I'm like, Matt, should I, he's like, listen, broken way of thinking. If you see a retracement, remember it's getting ready to possibly test a new high. And I love, and just coming back to that doc strike, I like, well, you can see bad news will be positive for us. I'd like to say the good news in this regard, as far as the doc strike, is positive. And do we have Ron back? I think we might. But just on that point, Matt, hold on. Here we go. Ron, you there?
I'm here, man. I'm going to have to talk to Steve Wynn about his connection here.
I thought you were like best friends with him. That's all right. Maybe we need to call Fixer.eth.
Bro, pay the $9.99 for the higher end.
I paid $31.99. $31.99. That's the
Vegas.
bad thing.
That's so Vegas.
I'm not cheaping out on Crago Crypto here.
It's okay, but here's the good news. At the end, we're going to have audiograms. We're going to have these short clips. Please, in 1 minute, shill the heck out of the morning show and why I love it so much. And I know Matthew's tuned in before. Please give it to us.
Well, the idea behind the morning show is that in 1 hour, you're going to find out everything you need to know that's affecting the crypto. We start 30 minutes after the U.S. stock market opens. And basically we've got experts. There's five of us in the co-hosting side. We've got great contributors, literally hundreds of years of experience in traditional businesses and, decades in crypto. And the idea is that you can come in and just whether you listen to it on recording or live, you know what's affecting. If you wake up and Bitcoin's up or down, if you get on the morning show, you're going to find out why. Plus, you're going to find out the latest alpha on what's happening. But I think pretty much you leave the morning show every day comfortable of why the market's doing what it's doing within reason as much as that's possible. So, yeah, been doing it the morning show's been going 1.5 years. Before that, we had an ENS focused show for 1.5 years. When ENS, which was the .East, were really hot. So we've been going for about 3 years. Like I say, we've all been in crypto for 10 plus years and great contributors, great supporting staff. And you leave there knowing what's happening. Why did Bitcoin drop today? What's going to happen tomorrow? What does this jobs report mean? What does the Fed rate cut mean? What is, all things like that. So hopefully you can save a lot of time and not have to do hours and hours of research, and some of which you may not know how to research if you're new to the space. We hope to just encapsulate that in an hour.
Yeah. By the way, the biggest utility for me, and then I want to hear from Matthew, the biggest utility for me, Ron, are the people. You and I, we probably talk, lately 1 to 1 to 2 times a week, depending on what's going on, talking about strategy. How can we help build the community, make impact? And by the way, quick shout out, because I can't see our Twitter spaces, which is totally cool. Because again, this is the most focuses, which is you guys. But I know that Mr. 305 is tuning in. Talk about a great conversation just in the back and forth. And I was just talking to him about Ordinal's protocol, understanding rune stones, all that stuff, right? Because I like to collect digital assets, NFTs. As I look at it, I like to get ahead of the meta. And right now, being part of the meta, making me super bullish. For you, Matt, what is the ultimate utility driving factor here? It could be a product, service, or people. What are your thoughts?
What it comes down to for me is, regardless of where we're putting money, the community is what will bring it all together. I've always been a community person. I was a baseball player. I played catcher. You're one of 9 people, but you're a leader on the field. And I like to be a part of a group. I owned wine bars for a long time. I was the wine director and the head of service. So I was part of a team, but again, a leader within the team. I love being a part of communities and watching people be able to be who they are, give their, some people have other strengths. And so they're able to be what they're best at. Like, memers are so important in these meme coin spaces to be able to do their art. You need people who can effectively communicate. Crego, you're a great example of that, man. You're an unbelievable communicator. And Landwolf, we had King on ETH doing some spaces. Okay. You've stepped up and done with unbelievable regularity and crushing it for the community. That stuff matters a lot. The community stuff, it's ultimately why people jump into a meme coin. They want to vibe on the timeline, see people dropping cool memes. They want, when they put a cool post up on their X, their Twitter account, they want 100 people to like and respond to it. That stuff makes price go up because it's a collective good, and it's one of the reasons I love ENS. It's how Ron and I first connected. I'm a big Ethereum name service person. And I think we've just kind of hit almost a bottom point where things are now starting to really kind of skyrocket in that space. There's a lot of huge bids coming. A lot of company names are being purchased again. I personally bought a 999 a couple days ago, which I had been wanting for a very long time. So I now am 522.eth. Let's go. I really see those kinds of energies coming together, making the community so important. And why Landwolf, really, I think why the people specifically in the Landwolf community have done so well together is they were in all these amazing other communities, learning about how things can go well. And when things started to pull back, they've seen the kind of feast or famine experience you can have. So Keck, Ron, a couple other big people in the ENS Maxis community on top of Ethereum name service, that was I personally owned like 30 of them at one point. And that kind of, that land swell of community energy has all come to a point. Those who got the alpha from Keck and other people in this, a lot of them met because of ENS Maxis. Had that not happened, it would have been because no one knew about Ethereum name service. So it's all kind of a derivative and connectivity. There's sinew, there's through lines.
Yeah. And you know what? Consistency wins every day, day in and out. We show up in those spaces. We ask those questions. I get in those DMs. I leave those voicemails. I've been on the phone a handful of times with you, Matt. And these are how these relationships are built. Add incredible value. And by the way, a quick shout out to some of the people that inspire me in this space. Obviously, Ron, you do. Matt, I have a great breadth of experience for you. King on ETH, let me just say, I love his energy. When I think about him, I just get that energy. We got called onto the Mario Nafal roundtable show. And this is sort of the interesting thing. When people are just set out to just make money and that's it, they fail. It's definitely a fail point. But if you're doing something because you're passionate about it and because you want to learn about people and recognize them, you draw the attention of the Mario Nafal and the roundtable space when they reached out to me. And in any given week, I can respectfully go on and just add commentary. I love Pulse. He's another great person in the space. David 10X, I believe is his name. There's K2. There's some really great people that know how to work a room. And so I learned from those spaces hosts because podcasting and spaces are vastly different. Now, Ron, I want to talk a little bit, if I can, about CoinZoom. You turned me on to it this past week. I now have an account. I'm excited about my Zoom token. I want to continue to build that bag, but help people understand what it is and just break it down for us if you can.
Yeah, CoinZoom is one of 5 regulated U.S. exchanges. founded by Todd Crossland. Todd Crossland in 2001 founded a Forex exchange called Interbank FX. They went on to do over $90 billion a month in exchanges, became the fourth largest in the entire world. They exited that, I think, in 2012. His youngest son, who's I think 30 now, came up with the idea to start a crypto exchange in 2015. And they started doing it with really, they had some technology. They had some really top people. They did all their own software and stuff like that. So they took some people from that team when they exited, and they created basically a CoinZoom competitor, Crypto.com competitor that really has some advantages. And it's very much an undiscovered gem. In fact, they just literally, and as we were going through our kind of pregame here, I literally got the thing that my new card is available, and we're launching our crypto card Visa in 150 countries. I helped a friend set up in Poland, and it's great. And they have a feature, much like in America, we're so spoiled because we have Venmo and Cash App. We can send money. Your kids need money. It's all free, right? That's only in the U.S. CoinZoom's able to do that with crypto, Bitcoin, cash, instantaneous, worldwide. You can swipe your card. It's just amazing. Like I say, very under the radar. I think there's about 125,000 active users in 200 countries. But this deal they did with Visa has never been done to launch in that many countries. It's never been done. In fact, when we first signed the deal 3 years ago, the Visa CEO shouted us out on his worldwide call. It was crazy. It's at that point that our firm went to him and said, can we become investors? I've been a customer for 3 years, but it's amazing. And we're going to be doing some innovative stuff with Landwolf that's never been done. We're just kind of waiting for these cards, but it's a cool thing. And I'll tell you, got a new valuation today because we had a new investor come in, or getting ready to come in. He had the RBC do an analysis, which I haven't read. It's like 48 pages, but it's very exciting. And we have a token that you can earn from when you spend your card. And maybe one day you'll be able to spend your Landwolf on that card and earn up to 5% cash back. And it's crazy. And I'll tell you, we're going to bring that win to the Landwolf community. Right now, you can only get it on coinzoom.com, get the tokens. But, you have a $100 million plus company with a token trading at half a penny. So, I mean, those that know tokenomics.
And I want to be just super clear. I almost faded Landwolf, and we would not be sitting here having this conversation. I might be chatting about something else, trying to figure out where my moves are going to be made in the space. Please listen to me, people. Go check out CoinZoom. Don't fade it. And Ron, if you can, after the space, just tweet something about CoinZoom so that people can go and see it. So go check on his page. I'll retweet that as well. Vision.io. And obviously, we've got maybe about 20 minutes left in this episode, and it's just so awesome just to be back in this chair, getting adjusted in the podcast conversation seat versus those short clips. Talk to me a little bit about Vision.io.
Well, as a matter of fact, on our giveaway, Furion, the founder of Vision.io, is going to be on the GM show tomorrow. So I don't know if you knew that or not. But yeah, Vision.io. They started out just doing databases to let us know what had been minted and what had not been minted, a free service. And they created and I've been heavily involved through the last 30 years and stuff in a lot of software. I've literally invested in a lot of early stage software. And I'll tell you, I've never met a team as efficient. They literally started out working round the clock for free. It was crazy what and they created what I think is the finest platform out there. I believe it's better than OpenSeas and everything. Now it's specific to ENS and Web3 domains, but I'm just so blown away. Zim and Furion, what they put together in their team, and they have some big investors. One Confirmation, who was backed by Peter Thiel and Mark Cuban and some other big. They're early and they're seed investors in Coinbase rather, and also OpenSeas and some of the big guys. They're seed investors, as well as ourselves with our partner Zero, who was their first actual investor. But yeah, unbelievable platform. I'm in different meme spaces. I talk to people when they hear about .eth. I'm like, go to Vision.io. Do not bother even going directly to the other, one that the DAO set up, whatever. It does so many things. bulk listings, bulk transfers. I mean, just amazing stuff. They've got several other things going. I'm hearing Dutch auctions might be on the way. I mean, so many things. These guys put out quality programming like I've never experienced in the 30 years that I've been on the writing the check side of that. I'm not a dev myself. I'm blown away with them. I love it. It's one of my favorite. Once you'll use it, you'd never go back to anything else. And I think it's going to be a big takeover target in the next few years, but great platform.
And by the way, if you want to learn, I promise you will eventually earn. It is that simple. Matt, imagine if we could fractionalize rare wine collections using DeFi, what would be the benefit for wine investors or collectors like ourselves? I don't have a wine collection yet, but if I did, where would we go with that?
So not a lot of people can afford to buy a bottle of Domaine de la Romandie Conti at $12,000 a bottle. Not everyone can afford to buy, some of these historic things that are for the top most wealthy people on the planet. But when you put together 50 people and they can each throw what they can afford in, it's one of those things where you get to have a small piece of history. And if it goes up in value, which fine wine tends to, we have not only an ability for everyone to get trustlessly paid through smart contracts, but also you have an ability to understand authenticity and to watch how things move. It's one of the best ways for this to happen.
I love that. And I like how you broke it down, is that you can be part of something. You can have exclusivity while bringing everybody in an inclusive manner so that people can do that. So let me throw this out to you. There's so much meta, so many areas. Again, as I said offline, I talked to Mr. 305 this week. I actually talked to Flexter.eth, little hint up here, just throwing Flexter.eth. Let me just, throw this to you. And I'm going to throw it to both of you guys, but I want to do with you, Matt, first. How do you fight your greed, right? It's sort of like being in a toy store. I got this domain. I got this new meme coin. I got this digital asset. Oh, shoot, there's a new launch. How do you fight the FOMO? And I reverse it with JOMO, which is the joy of missing out. But what do you do?
It's hard when you're on Twitter all day to jump into everything you see. And I'm on Twitter a lot. I'm even when I'm working or when I'm traveling, I've got my phone in my hand. I've got an unbelievable amount of people on notice because I don't want to miss stuff, right? So you can't just jump into every coin unless you have an ultimate amount of liquidity, which not everyone does. For me, what it comes down to, the hardest thing, the lessons I've had to learn are how not to round trip things. So when you have conviction in something and the price starts to go up, at some point you have to feel okay with selling. This is like the FOMO of selling is something I think we have to really understand better. I don't want to talk myself out of selling because it might go up 10x more and then it never goes up 10x more, Right. So having a plan, having a certain amount of crypto you're willing to, put away in a safe, keep it on a Trezor, keep it on a Tangent, whatever your cold wallet storage you choose, because OPSEC matters a lot. We have to be really well locked down. SafePal wallet, if you guys want to watch a recent video from Crego, did an amazing video inspired by our boy Butternuts. But it's so fun to call him Butternuts now. But we're to the point where, look, the reason prices go down is because people are selling, and more people are selling than are buying. And it's very good market mechanics for things to go up and then for it to go down. For a couple reasons. You want people who are trying to get some profits out, and you want hands that are more willing to hold things in. Accumulation matters, but you never know. Sometimes you may never get to that next all-time high. So while FOMO is important to keep in check, and if you don't have a bunch of liquidity on hand at all times, which I've had times in my career where I only had like a couple $100 I'm playing with, it's crazy. Like I was able to buy a 999 recently, and I spent 2.2 ETH on that. And there was times in my career I never would have been able to do that. That's not even that crazy of a purchase, but I feel lucky to be able to do that. Right. You have to be also willing to make sales, do a little bit of profit taking, and get over the kind of fear of someone might get mad at me, or a group chat's going to kick me out, or, what are my friends going to think? Like, you know what? Putting money in the bank's okay. Or even keeping your Ethereum reserves high or your Sol reserves high, or putting money into Bitcoin is okay, right?
Yeah. Yeah, or having fresh powder on the line in USDT and being patient and not just exploding that, as I've got a little bit of fresh powder on the line, just kind of making some moves. As I sit here in this seat and then so grateful for it, one of the things that I invest in are the people, which is the community, the founders, and there's always a good story to tell. And what's interesting is a lot of these short clips that I've created have caught some really good attention and trajectory, and I'm super appreciative of that and grateful every time there's a retweet or there's a comment. And by the way, speaking of comments, I love all the retweets. If you can, go back in there and comment. We know about that 70x rule that Ron has talked about every morning on the morning show. He talks about it. Engagement is key, and I will engage back. My account's not so big that I'm not going to comment back, but for me, it's those deep dive interviews. And I thought where I got myself into a pickle, and then I want to come to you in a second, Ron, is I remember when I got onto that platform Voyager. And why did I invest? I invested in the founder. And eventually Voyager got themselves in over their head. They were irresponsible with some of their trades. And then my VGX token was no more. I go into the app one day, my stomach dropped. I felt nauseous. So, from my end, I think it's proceeding with caution. It's making informed decisions. I want to come to you on this, Ron. When you're making a decision on what projects you're talking about, and again, my highest conviction is Landwolf. That's not going to change. It is clear that we're here, and I've said a million times over, I want to see that Landwolf is an OG legend, that when people talk about Pepe, they automatically talk about the best degen of the group. That is Landwolf, OX67 on the Ethereum blockchain. Please don't get it messed up. But in the meme streets of Web3, I do play with some other meme tokens. And so my question for you, Ron, as people are out there, plot, plan, strategize, and they implement a move, what's maybe some advice, and how are you moving a little bit without giving away all your trade secrets?
Well, it's all the basic stuff. I mean, it's the stuff, it's some of the, you need a dollar cost average. Don't FOMO. Don't, what did Warren Buffett say? Be greedy when others are fearful. Be fearful when, be greedy when others are fearful, and be fearful when others are greedy. Buy when there's blood in the streets, even if it's your own blood. I mean, you have to go against your natural psychology. The best plays I've ever made are when I push that button and you literally just want to throw up. You're literally sick to your stomach because it's dropped so many times, and you've dollar cost average. It's dropped again. It's dropped again. It's dropped again. Cashed in your life insurance. It dropped 90% from there. I mean, it's that time when you're just like, whatever, right? I mean, it's that those are sometimes the best decisions. You really have to get away from what your mind tells you, what the crowd tells you, and what that, the crowd, if you listen to the crowd and you follow the FOMO, you're going to buy high and sell low, and you're going to round trip stuff and whatever. Just use some of those basic, if you learn some of those basic investing strategies, that's what take some profit. And we talk about that in the GM show and in a lot of other spaces. I mean, it's those basic things, don't get afraid. Don't panic. I mean, if I learned anything by selling Bitcoin sub $200, it's don't panic, And I remember I panicked one time since then. I swore I never would. Ethereum dropped down at like $500 or something like that in like 2018 early. And I sold it, and literally within an hour, it was like double, $1,200. And it's like, okay, I did that, been there, done that. I'm not panicking again. Haven't panicked really, knock on wood, since then. But yeah, just use some basic smarts, basic investment strategy. Don't listen. Biggest thing is this: don't use leverage. Don't be stupid, right? Like I may go down to the casino. I'm staying at the casino. I may go down there. I may play some craps. I may play some blackjack. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to take $100,000. Choose one number on the roulette wheel. Oh, 22. Oh, yeah, it's my lucky number, and put it all on there, right? I'm not going to do that. If I did that, imagine the panic when that ball's rolling and I have a 1 in 39 chance. I'm probably going to lose, right? That's different than going down to the blackjack, throwing down $5, $10 and playing all night with $100, right? So don't play with more money, and don't do stupid things like leveraged, 100 times leverage and things like that. Just, Gary Palmer Jr., a great guy from the ENS space. Ladies, liquor, and leverage.eth. And the three things that can really cause a man's downfall. And I can't speak to the first two, Certainly, Matthew can speak to the second one with great amount of wisdom, but the leverage, stay away from it. Stay in spot because it'll come back. It will come back, and
by the way, I can't wait for both
Well
of you
said.
gentlemen to come into the New York area, because we will go out for a nice glass of wine. And who better, Ron, to be by our side than the sommelier? Did I say it right, man? I got it?
Sommelier. You did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm telling you, those are like the little worries that I used to have. And now I'm just like, you know what? If you fail forward. It's all good. I don't care. I just don't care anymore. Digital citizen, right? We've got maybe a couple more topics. We're in the last 5 minutes. This has been amazing tonight. I think what we'll do next time in studio is maybe have the screen for the Twitter Spaces so I can see who's in there. But I appreciate everybody who's been tuning in. I appreciate all the support. And most importantly, it's all about our Landwolf on ETH community, Landwolf OX67. Matt, when you hear the word digital citizen, what does it mean to you?
Well, look, we are citizens of a country. A lot of us, if we live in the United States, also have a state. But there's this other world we all get to be a part of. If you're on crypto Twitter, if you're in a meme coin, if you're a holder of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, these larger cap cryptos, you get to literally find people all over the planet and interact with them, vibe with them, and really find ways to push forward the finance world, the technological world. So many amazing things have happened on the crypto clock, watching the proliferation of AI and watching how people are using that in the crypto space. For the last 4 years, I've been just mind blown. I've always been a tech forward person, and the amount of things I learn about, but also kind of to give Ron and his team for the GM show flowers, like understanding how crypto is largely integrated into the other very important parts of the world, TradFi, how war implications, the micro and the macro all play into that. Those kinds of bits of context will allow people to get a little bit less emotional. And Ron and his team do such a great job of giving an overarching picture. So that way you can literally be a digital citizen as best you can, while also being a citizen of whatever country you live in, whatever state you live in, because we all play to different communities. And I think it's awesome that I've got friends that it's now here in California, 7 p.m. For East Coasters, it's 10 p.m. But like, I'm going to start saying GM to people who are going to wake up in Italy and Portugal and Spain soon. And I'm actually flying to Spain this weekend, and they're going to be saying GM to me when they're going to sleep. I think Craig, you're a GMer no matter what time it is.
GM. GM. No, I love it. I love saying it twice. By the way, they gave me just a phone in the studio, so I just wanted to give a couple quick shout outs. Goshmas, I see in here, dropping. What's up, Caddy, Wizard, Marlon, man, I freaking love your artwork. You know that. Flexter, come on. You see the noodle. I know you see it. Who else we got here? Wolf, James, Kias, Wicked. Love it. Bama. X-Matt, I appreciate you, brother. You make a lot of things, a lot of great things happen for us. Paige, of course, Keck, you're such a gangster. Too weird. I got a good laugh emoji from him, and I hope you're feeling good, my friend. All right, so that's on that end of things. So, we talked about Digital Citizen. We talked about the morning show. We talked about, of course, our favorite conviction play. At least I believe. I don't put words in anyone's mouth. But Landwolf OX67 on ETH is just going to go freaking parabolic. On these last couple minutes, what are you guys on your parting words for today? And then I'll just finish it off with my last thoughts and a nice little howl. Ron, let me come to you first, and then you, Matt.
Yeah, I will say, I'll quote Hoff, our TradFi guy in the show this morning. He said, "You're not bullish enough." Now, it may seem like you're late, right? Everybody who ever bought Bitcoin, when I bought my first Bitcoin at $2, $20, whatever, we quit mining at $80 because it was kind of over, right? Everybody who's ever bought Bitcoin or anything thinks they're too late, right? We're so freaking early I was able, luckily, I lived long enough to catch the kind of the internet thing, right? And that was huge. I mean, 26 when we took our company public a while back, but this is a wave like you will never see. This is bigger than the internet. I believe it's bigger because it's global. www, World Wide Web. We used to talk about World Wide Web. I've shipped hundreds of millions of product. I can probably count on this hand how many of them really were overseas, maybe at least two hands, right? Now there's people all over the world, right? On this space, we got people every country, right? It's really global. This is a global deal. We're so early. Study it, learn it, buy you some Bitcoin, buy you some Ethereum, sell some stuff in the garage, get a second job, cut out, start drinking the $2 chuck. You can't afford that $12,000 bottle. Put that money into Landwolf. I mean, we're so early. This is an opportunity like I think I'll probably never see again, and probably no one watching the show will ever see an economic wave this big, right? I mean,
I agree.
In the early days, it's like a tsunami, right? It's a tsunami coming at us, and we're not ready. We're not ready, and we're not bullish enough, and we're early, and it's life-changing, generational changing stuff, man. So
I love
even
that.
if this is your first day today, if this is the first thing you've ever heard, first podcast you've ever heard on crypto, you're still early.
By the way, I think we might have inspired before I come to you, Matt. JR, big shout out to you. He just bought his first bag of Landwolf.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, let's go.
Ow! All right. Matt, what are your parting words for today?
That was so well said, Ron. And what I want to add to it is, guys, especially if you're on the newer side and you've got money invested that's at some point makes you sick to see number go down and it's less than you thought, and maybe you were starting to look at watches, starting to look at other things you wanted to buy, and then all of a sudden there's a pullback like the last couple days in our Uptober that we've been hoping to experience. Keep in mind, there are institutional functions at play where they want to shake you out. They want you to sell at a lower price than you bought. They want you to lose so that way they can take on the risk and ride it to Valhalla. So don't forget, when things are pumping, there's going to be a correction. There's going to be a time when it goes down a little bit, and it's okay to ride it out. It's okay to keep your conviction. Keep your crypto safe, and definitely remember, we're in this together. This is community. So let's go, Landwolf, Wolfpack. Ow!
I love it. I love it. And, let me give some parting words. So on this end of things, one Camry is the only thing I'm going to say, right? Because I'm pulling up in a Camry, whether I decide to rent it, because I don't like purchasing depreciable assets. And maybe one day I'll rent a Lamborghini for the day. Big shout out to Car. See you in there. Let me also just make a quick shout out to Web Hash. That's the orange shirt behind you. This alpha is connected with this alpha right here. My Landwolf community, I love you guys very much. My DMs are always open. I believe in building conversations through those relationships in which we have. Build those conversations. They're quality, they're key, they're clutch, building trust. My DM's always open. I love those honest conversations. And I see James E. Brooks Jr. in here. I had a great conversation with him the other night. CLA. Let's continue to grow. I hope to do more of these long form podcasts. We're going to cut a lot of these clips up. We got a lot of great audiograms. You guys said a lot of brilliant things. And I'm just so humbled to be on today's episode with you two fantastic gentlemen. On that note, ow! Thank you so much for watching Craig's Crypto Corner, the best in Web3, blockchain, NFT, and cryptocurrency technologies. Craigo signing off.